ready? Are you 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 ready to get it? You ready for war? Live is back, are you ready for more? The waiting is over, it's time to get poppin'. We all wanna win it, just cash in the pocket. BB alive, nothing can top it. Fantasy's back, football's the topic. 50 down for 50 in profit. Boss at the top and we all wanna drop. I'm taking the spot, bury the coffin. Time for the action, enough for the talk. Time to get crackin', live is back. And speaking the facts, the champions bossing back to back. Don't happen that often, enjoy the throne. It's time to get off and welcome back. It's time to get started, time for the weak and the strong to be part. We're all in the war, fight to the finish. Mad about trades, but it's part of the business. Do what you need, it's all about winning. Try to be king on the division, wanna be champ, that is the mission. Why with the flow? This is tradition. Ready to go, time for the show. Roll your bloods, get ready to blow. Get ready to hear the good and the bad. You might not agree, but it's only on facts. If you get ugly, yeah, that means you're whack. GENO and Matt, finally we're back. Analyzing and sharing the stats, giving opinions and checking the facts. Keep it six, built to the draft. A league of 10, let's see who can last. If your team stinks, it belongs in the trash. Race to the end, try not to crash. No one agrees, all of us clash. Something like Titans, fighter gets smashed. You better contend if you wanna be champ. If you won't pay attention, you don't have a chance. No chance to win if you don't have a plan. Get a chance at the shit, better win if you can. Yeah, PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. PPL is back, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready.
PPL Live Playoff Edition. Wild Card weekend is upon us. It is finally time to get on the road to Pantheon Cup 14. Yes, we will crown our 14th Pantheon Cup champion in just a couple of weeks. GENO the Gent here with my man Ulysses S. Hey, give him a playoff. What's up, Ulysses?
What's up, PPL?
We're here. We're ready. It's time to get into the playoffs. But, hey, we got to take our eye back to that last week of the regular season. Starting with the Argonauts getting their 5th straight win to win in the regular season. 132 to 128. Patty's Twins leaves, no doubt, in a rousing victory. Breaks their losing streak against Only for the Boss. Get into the playoffs, 134 to 121. The Skulls beat Squad Underestimated 122 to 105 in a playoff tune-up. The Baby Gas team ends their season with 2 straight. Get by, appease the gods, 96 to 88. And Trey Fitty ends their season on a high note, but no cigar. 94 to the Omega Conference champions, Putrid, 72. Alrighty, PPLers, final standings projections presented by Snickers. Starting with number 10, of course, the Baby Gas team. At 9, the Gaff Attack. 1 and 2 in the PPL draft. 8, Appease the Gods. That's 3. 7, Patty's Twins. I don't think that they understand what's going on anymore, Ulysses. 6, we got Trey Fitty. 5, the United play as the Omega Conference champions. 4, we've got the Skulls. 3, Squad Underestimated. 2, the Argonauts. And at number 1, the number 1 seed, the defending Pantheon Cup champions, the Alpha Conference champions, only for the Boss. Obviously, man, Snickers has got most of these teams in the playoffs, right? What do you think of this, man?
I mean, this is what I love about Snickers. They don't give a shit about playoff math. They're just doing what they want to do. And so, why not? But yeah, I mean, overall, I agree with probably the top 5 seeds.
Okay.
I mean, at least just being in the top 5.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into what we need to talk about.
No, definitely, man. I'm anxious too. I mean, it was another great regular season. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the 14th annual PPL regular season. I hope everybody enjoyed it. But, hey, let's recap the season a little bit, man. Let's get into the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Alrighty, Ulysses. So I want to recap for the season right here, man. Give me your great for the season, your good for the season, your bad for the season, and your ugly for the season. Forget week 14. That's over with. I want to hear a full recap of what you thought of 4 teams in the regular season, and you can even prognosticate a little bit if you'd like.
Yeah, no, I mean, a great. I mean, who else could it be? I mean, Only for the Boss at this point in the season is the only team that could really say they had a great go.
Okay.
I mean, you've got them at 11-3, and you've got 4 teams at 8-6. I mean, nobody within 3 wins of these guys.
Okay.
Nobody within 100 points of these guys. Nobody. I mean, the closest on the divisional side, we had a lot of 5-3s, but again, 6-2, best divisional record. I mean, this team has everything to repeat. They've got a first round bye. It was just a dominant performance all season. And I mean, if you look outside of those last few weeks where, I mean, again, did lose against playoffs teams.
Right.
It's something that, I mean, some teams may be worried about. I don't think they should be at all. They are very well positioned to do what very few teams have done. If I think we've only had 1 repeat title.
The Argonauts are the only team.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've only had 1 repeat, and so I think that they are very well positioned. And again, from go, I mean, you look at the moves throughout the season, these guys made 12 moves.
Right.
So they had this team from jump. They've managed it well. I've just been highly impressed with Only for the Boss.
Yeah.
Gave them, I mean, I didn't think that they were going to do it. I know early on, I did not think this team was going to be able to put out the run that they have. I'm highly impressed with the effort they've been earning. And again, if I'm in these playoff race, they're the team I do not want to face because there's definitely an easier route to the title game. And it does not go for Only for the Boss. Great regular season.
No, definitely, man. I have to agree with you there. Only for the Boss, pacing the Pantheon League with 11 wins this season. One of the few teams in league history to actually break 11 victories. So a great season for ownership. The best season they've had in their league history. Their first Alpha Conference title. And they look primed to defend that Pantheon Cup championship. All right, man. Give me your good for the season.
Good. You know what? I'm going to give it to the Skulls.
Okay. Agreed.
Looking at, actually where I was thinking about this team and who really had a good season, I was like, who exceeded my expectations?
Okay. Fair.
And as I'm looking at the playoff teams, Only for the Boss, I expected them to be a playoff team. Squad, I expected them to win Alpha. Argo, this was probably one of the hardest campaigns we've seen of them in recent history.
Right.
The other side, I haven't been impressed with the UP, and especially with the injuries. And again, Twins getting in by the skin of their teeth. When I would say, hey, Skulls, beginning of the season, you're going to end up barely losing out on the Omega title first round bye.
Right.
I think that they take that very much. They've done it with a very narrow point differential. I mean, we're talking less than 20 points here separating them. So they were winning close games. Yeah. And it really was their down the stretch work. I mean, of the last 4 games, winners of 3. Even the loss came against the surging Patty's Twins. So these guys have really put themselves in a good position. And again, I think that from where they started, a team that started the season 1-3, I'm really impressed with how they turned things around and got themselves into a real good position. And again, are playing an Argo team that they've beat already this season.
Right,
so there's no reason they can't do it again. I think that the Skulls should be proud of the campaign that they put together.
No, definitely, man. And here's one thing that I always like to look at, especially through the new Chaos era of the 16 playoffs. The Skulls make the playoffs in the Golden era. And to me, that signifies something, that matters. I think it matters that if you're still a top 4 seed, you make it no matter the era. And the Skulls have proven themselves to be a top 4 team in this league. And I think that they can get top 4 results. So I agree with you there, man. Let me hear your bad.
Bad's easy, man. It was bad all season. Off season, draft, all throughout the regular season. It's appease the gods. What are you doing getting rid of Saquon?
Right.
Who was negligible, will not be kept. Saquon would definitely be kept and would have really helped this team. They're a playoff team with him. Yeah, I mean, go to draft night. I mean, number 1 pick, Dak Prescott. You already got Lamar. What are you doing? Right. Number 2 pick, Singletary. I mean, okay, but really wasn't too drafted.
There was better guys there. He knows it too.
Well, and then you just get into the season, and I mean, look, This team's 2-0 to start the season.
Got to a good start.
Off to a great start. Last 12 games, 3 wins. I mean, it's just not going to get done. These guys fell apart from go. Have one of the few distinctions. I mean, let's look at this here. Let's look at this here.
Okay.
BGT had 4 wins.
Okay.
2 of those wins came against the Peace of the Gods.
Wow.
So let's talk about which teams just.
Nah, that says a lot, man. I mean, I would have never knew that until you pointed that out.
Well, yeah. No, it was bad. I mean,
yeah.
BGT,
I'm surprised that ain't ugly.
Number 1 overall.
Yeah.
These the guys just couldn't get out of their own way. Maybe got a little too in their own heads here.
Okay.
And really aren't that well situated from with a keeper class going into the next season. It was a bad season, and this team's really going to have to figure out how to reposition themselves to be taken seriously.
No, definitely, man. I thought Peace of the Gods got off to such a good start. I thought Lamar was going to have an MVP campaign. I thought that was going to fuel them to have a big run, especially with Mark Andrews being a beneficiary of an MVP campaign. It just never came together for ATG. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this team's been to multiple Pantheon Cups. They've won multiple Omega titles. They are a force to be reckoned with. But Pate's algorithms got to get right, man. And it looks like they were about Trey Fitty on their winning average this year, man. Who you got for your ugly if that's just bad?
I mean, ugly for me, again, using the same logic as good. I was looking at the teams who didn't make the playoffs, who I really expected to do something.
Okay.
So looking at Trey Fitty, I thought they exceeded expectations going at 500.
Yeah.
BGT, I mean, the injuries, I'm not really surprised. We just hit on a Piece of the Gods. So that leaves me with the gap. And I mean, whenever I look at this 4-10 record,
yes.
When I look at their talent, again, I was talking about it last week, Gino. I expected this team to be a lot better. I mean, just looking at the roster and,
top 4 in the league in scoring, man.
Well, I mean, conversely here again, you look at them. They have 4 wins. 2 of those wins are they've got the Skulls, they've got the UP, they've got the Twins. They were beating Omega teams. They just really couldn't get any consistency here down the stretch. Again, winners of 2 of the last 3 took the Argos to the brink in the final game of the season. The gap, though, difference between these guys and a Piece of the Gods. Again, I think that they could have done a lot more this season.
Okay.
However, and this is a big silver lining for me with the gap.
Yeah.
I think that the gap is really well situated for next season.
Right.
Some of the talent he has.
He's got to manage it.
Jalen, I mean, again, he's got guys that I think are very much keeper worthy that are younger.
Yeah.
And again, he's going to be picking number 2 in the draft.
True.
So I think the gap has a lot of things to look forward to. But you know what? When he looks back at season 14 of the PPL, he's gonna look at a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of what could have been, and just relive an ugly campaign that really just didn't meet the moment.
No, man, definitely, and it's kind of crazy that you're ugly and you're bad in week 1. It almost started that way for the Gaff with that ugly opening day loss to a Piece of the Gods. The Gaff was, he was my Pantheon Cup pick for the most part, and I mean, you talked about squad letting you down. The Gaff season was ugly, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna even go there with the Gaff this week. I'm gonna go with my great. And my great is going to be for a team that, you know what, a lot of pressure was on this team this season. You know what I mean? And some of it was of their own making. But I think pressure bursts pipes. I think pressure can destroy things, but also know it can make diamonds. And I feel like Squad Underestimated had a diamond season this year. I'm going to give you a few reasons why. This is the best season that Squad Underestimated has ever had in the 14 years. Yeah, they had a 9-4 campaign in season 2, but this year I feel like they really staked their claim as a dangerous team. Teams actually feared Squad Underestimated this season. That's something that I don't think we've ever been able to say in their history. And let me tell you why. Masterful trading, masterful movement, masterful ways of getting guys to bolster this roster. Saquon Barkley in the offseason along with Tyreek Hill. Who gets both of those guys in a trade? I mean, for like Jalen Waddle and some side pieces. I mean, that started to me a brilliant campaign for Squad Underestimated. Does it reflect itself in the record? I would say yes. They're tied for the second best record in the league. They have the number 3 seed. And I feel like if they can get by Patty's Twins, the 6th seed, they have a clear path to Pantheon Club glory. And this is exactly what Squad Underestimated played for. But I'm not even going to just talk about the Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey trades. I like the move to get Justin Fields out on that team. That was a good trade. Marquise Brown, before everything's said and done, they got him back in a trade. That could factor in later in the season. And Squad did a good job of positioning themselves, despite the Kyler Murray injury, to still make a run at the Pantheon Cup title. If they don't make this Justin Fields trade, they're dead in the water going into this matchup with Patty's Twins. Instead, the Justin Fields trade has them still on course to make a run for the Pantheon Cup. A great season for Squad Underestimated. The best by far in their history. Great year by ownership. And a good record to get them in position to win the Pantheon Cup. All that matters once you're in the playoffs is that you're in. Golden Age rule, he's the 3 seed. He would have been in back in the day. So I give him love on that. Great season for Squad Underestimated. My good is going to actually go to a team that could have been so much more. And that is my man Trey Fitty. You talked about it, man. This guy came in, had nuts and bolts for a roster, was able to turn things around despite, handicapping himself. I feel like this guy almost at times was trying to prove something to the league by tying one hand behind his back. Let's go with the Saquon Barkley trade. No need to do that and get rid of him and Tyreek Hill after, the league basically gifted you those 2 players. There was no need to even get rid of those guys. He was already set up for a good campaign. For most teams, that trade would be disastrous and pretty much a season ender. Not for Trey Fitty. He found a way to stay above board. Let's talk about him early in the season. Beat the Argonauts in a huge upset. Beat Only for the Boston for a long time, was the only team that could stake claim to that. Trey Fitty had a great campaign throughout the year, especially considering the pieces that they had and had to deal with. Very, very, very impressed with new ownership and would love to see what's going to happen down the way. I like some of the keepers that they have coming down the stretch in Wilson. I saw the move to pick up Calvin Ridley. I thought that was brilliant. And I also think Treylon Burks is a guy that they could look at, along with Jalen Waddle and Chris Godwin. He's got options, and that's the one thing that you have to have in the PPL is options. And he did a good job of getting those options despite maybe even handicapping himself early in the season. So it was a good season for Trey Fitty. No, he didn't make the playoffs, but he got above Trey Fitty, which is a big thing because neither one of us thought he would. And my bad for the season, and some people might think I'm nitpicking here, but let's just say that this team prides themselves on an imperial state of mind, and I don't feel like they reached it this year, and that's the Argonauts. Coming into the season, they ballyhooed, they moved and made move after move and moved up in the draft and traded for guys, and they still only ended up 8-6, still ended up needing to win 5 straight to even make the playoffs. This is just not a characteristic Argonaut team. And it really came down to, I thought, apathy at the beginning of the season. I felt the Argonauts thought that they could just walk over the Alpha Conference early on. And they woke up in time, but it was almost too late. Just not what we expect from a team that went 13-1 last season. They had a 600% increase in losses. Let's just put it that way. So anytime something like that happens, it's obviously not a good year. It was a bad year for the Argonauts. Now, can they make it good? Sure, in the end of the day. But for the regular season, an 8-6 campaign, tied for the second best record, yeah, they can puff their chest about that. But everybody knows this team was 3-6 and looking like the team that was going to be the biggest disappointment. They avoided that stretch, but I'm not going to let them off the hook. GENO the Gent is here to give you the true analysis. And the Argonauts were not a good team this year. They were really not able to sustain what they've sustained over the years. So they're my bad. But they have a chance to make it good. So that's why they're only bad. And then, man, my ugly on the regular season is another team that's actually in the playoffs. I think my ugly is going to be a little controversial this year. And, hey, they might even turn it around. But at the end, I got to call it how I see it, and that's the United play as the destroyers. What are you doing? All season long, the United play as the destroyers. They had opportunities to make moves. I mean, think about it like this, Ulysses. The only trade they made was to get rid of a top 10 quarterback. That was all they did this year. You could say, okay, well, they got Leonard. You have something?
Hey, Gino, you know I'm going to be co-signing on any of the following. I've been telling you about UP from jump.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, they almost won. They won the Omega Conference title by de facto. They were the de facto champions for the most part. I mean, the Skulls basically tied them in record. So the argument can be made that the Skulls are just as good and as deserving of the Alpha Conference title as the UP. But the UP have the conference record over them, so they get the title. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at last week. Why are you going Bucks coach? Dolphins head coach. It's the intangibles right now for the UP, on top of the fact that they're not paying attention to the fact that Tom might have passed Tom by. And he needs to wake up to the times. He could easily have Justin Fields in that lineup right now and be looking like a true threat down the stretch of the PPL playoffs. Obviously, the Cooper Cup thing happened mid-season. But, and I'm not going to knock him for that because that's an injury. But poor management, bad starts. I mean, I'm not going to say they're lucky to be 8-6 because you are what your record says you are. But at the end of the day, they're a team, I feel like most of the wild card teams are licking their chops at. Everyone wants to avoid only for the boss, and everybody is dreaming of a Final Four matchup with the United play as the Destroyers. Not the smell you want to give off when you're supposed to be a hunter. You're looking more like the prey, and this is the worst time of the season to look like prey going into the PPL playoffs. So that's my ugly. But with that being said, hey, that's past. That's prologue. The season is over. It is the postseason. It's time to get into wild card weekend, and we start in a matchup of mythological proportions as we start in our first matchup of the PPL playoffs. We have the Argonauts of the Alpha Conference taking on the Skulls of Omega. All right, man, in the story, you know it. Jason has to lead the Argonauts against the Skull Army to retrieve the Golden Fleece. Nothing's changed here. The Argonauts' first step is going to be the Skulls, or the Skulls' first step is going to be the Argonauts. We got talent all over the place in this one, Ulysses. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Man, it's looking pretty star-studded. What do you think of this one, man? We got a great one to open up Wild Card Weekend. Argo Skulls.
Yeah, I mean, I love this matchup. I mean, as you said, you know, the history with the Argos, the upstart ability of the Skulls, and really the fact that the Skulls were able to get at the Argos earlier mentioned it.
Right.
I mean, Argos, you're bad. Skulls, my good. You know what? I like the Skulls in this matchup.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Josh Allen against Miami. Look up what he did to these guys earlier in the season. He's got that coach writing on it. Love it.
Okay.
You know, you look at the other side. I mean, Argos are rolling with Packers coach, which, you know, I mean, the Rams got some problems out there.
Right.
And again, they had a little bit of Baker Mayfield magic, and you know what the Argos are betting on. That's all been used up. Okay. And trust me, if it has been, Aaron Jones is going to be a big factor for that.
Definitely.
So I think that even if the Packers do get the win, it's going to be somewhat shaded by the Skulls' ability to get in on that.
Okay.
I think the big question mark for me is Ramondre Stevenson.
Oh, true.
If he can go, he should eat up Las Vegas. Love McLaurin. Jamar Chase, man, this is an interesting one in this matchup. T. Higgins right now on the other side looking like he's not going to go.
Right.
That's going to go in Jamar Chase's benefit. Cole Kmet, I think, has shown that he's going to be a tight end option going into fantasy going forward.
Right.
You know where I might be going if I was him, though? I might be looking at Jamal Williams.
Okay.
What Detroit's been able to do. I think that they're going to be competitive against the Jets, and that I might feel more confident with him than Amari.
Okay.
I love that he went out and got the Broncos coach against
Right.
Arizona without Kyler Murray. I just really like what he's doing here. other side, Justin Herbert against Tennessee. I mean, again, Tennessee's been just so hot and cold.
Yeah.
But again, I think that they're well coached, and I think Vrabel gets these guys turned around. Justin Herbert, let's see if they don't get at him. Dalvin Cook, man, disappointing.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard should be able to balance that, but Jacksonville's starting to kind of come on too. I've been impressed. I think that Belichick's going to be trying to take away Devontae being the big play and say, you know, you're going to have to grind this one out with Josh Jacobs.
Right.
Justin Jefferson's indefensible. Chief should roll. I think that this is going to be everything of a hallmark. But, you know, something's just telling me that the Skulls, led by Josh
it's their
Allen,
time.
again, my early season MVP, I think that he's going to get into form, really show what's up against Miami. And I think the Skulls get the biggest win in their franchise's history.
Okay.
Get a playoff win against the Argos, and I've got them going 131. The Argos 127.
Okay. Nah, man, this is pretty marquee for Wildcard weekend. This is a good one. But I think I'm leaning. They've been here so many times before. They've won here so many times before. I think I'm gonna lean the other way. I'm looking at Dalvin Cook Saturday along with Justin Jefferson. They've got to set the pace because Josh Allen's coming right behind them later on in the day. This matchup is going to actually come down to how the waves go. We're looking at Monday night, Packers coach against Aaron Jones. We got obviously what's going to go down Sunday between the two teams. And then we've got a lot of interesting matchups on Saturday. Where I think things really can work for the Argonaut. You talked about Justin Herbert and you talked about the Titans. The Titans are giving up passing yards and touchdowns like it's nobody's business. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the league. What's happening in Los Angeles? Justin Herbert's getting his targets back, and he's starting to look better and better with those guys getting healthier and healthier. I love Justin Herbert's matchup against the Titans, and I feel like he may finally have the huge game that the Argonauts are going to probably need in a situation like this. Maybe to match a Josh Allen who could destroy Miami. Justin Jefferson, we've talked about this. This guy's been uncoverable most of the season. Number one receiver in the PPL, giving us Cooper Kupp vibes right now. He's just doing it all for the Argo, and I don't think that goes down against the Colts. Despite the Colts being a solid defense, I think Justin is going to be able to get loose. Dalton Schultz, we talked about him over the last couple of weeks. He's been a huge, huge impact because that tight end position is so random. You never know what you're going to get from there. Anything you get from there is nothing but gravy, and the Argonauts have been able to squeeze points out of that position. On the other side, I like Terry McLaurin against the New York Giants. That Sunday night game, that might be somewhere where the Skulls can take advantage of the matchup, being that it's a standalone matchup, and I think McLaurin can have a very big game on Sunday night. I think this matchup really just turns on Ramondre. I'm with you, man. I do think the Skulls' chance of winning improves with Ramondre, but he wasn't spotted at practice Wednesday. He's out with an ankle right now. Ankles are always iffy because, I mean, that's basically the core of a running back. You need your ankle. If he's not able to go, Jamal Williams is still a downgrade because he's in a committee where Ramondre is getting the lion's share of the work. If Ramondre plays, that really helps the Skulls' chances. I like the Denver defense as well, and I really like Jamar. If T. Higgins doesn't play, obviously the Argonauts are going to go T. Higgins if he does, but if he doesn't play, Jamar should feast against Tampa Bay because there's not going to be anybody else. I'm hearing Tyler Boyd might also be out. But at the end of the day, I think the Argonauts have just enough to get by here. Devontae Adams, I think, is going to be able to break through Bill Belichick's defense because of some insight from Josh McDaniels. And Tony Pollard should have a pretty decent day in Jacksonville, and that'll spur the Argonauts on to the Final Four round. I got the Argonauts getting this matchup 127 to the Skulls 122. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into a matchup of original 5 teams, but these two teams have never, let me repeat, never met in the PPL playoffs, but the time has come. A lot of banter between these two teams coming down the stretch. Now it's no more time for talk. It's time for that action, baby. We got Patty's Twins taking on Squad Underestimated. All right, another Alpha and Omega matchup, man. The Omega's Patty's Twins. Last year's Omega champions. They've been to the last 2 Pantheon Cups. 3-time Pantheon Cup champions going up against squad underestimated who could only aspire for those lofty titles, man? What do you think of this one? Fields, Rogers, Chicago, Green Bay, Twins underestimated.
Yeah, I mean, this one's hard to call because I think both of them are making mistakes in setting their lineups.
Two teams you've been on all year, Ulysses. You've been on these two teams all year, man. Let's hear it.
Well, you know, I expect great things from both of these original franchises. And let me tell you, Aaron Rodgers, what are you doing starting them, Twins? How has that gone for you this season? Ever since you started playing GENO, things started improving. Look at this, man. He's at a quarterback position. He's ranked 5th. Right. Aaron Rodgers 17. Look at who Squad's playing. Squad is going all in on these Niners, and so every play that GENO has the ball, it's a play that these other cats ain't on the field.
True.
And so I think she should really take advantage of that. Can't knock Austin Eckler. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, she has to play him. I think he might have a little bit of trouble in Minnesota, but you know what? I think that she's got to go. I'm on Rod St. Brown. I mean, he's showing to be a guy. But one area, again, tight end, Dulcich, I think that she should go with Evan Ingram.
Okay.
I mean, he really has shown to be a top guy at the tight end position. And
definitely.
I think against Dallas. Dallas showed me a lot of things about exposure last week, almost losing. And that takes me to the biggest one here. I don't think that the Cowboys win in Jacksonville.
Okay.
We saw what the Cowboys did against Houston, and they almost cost the Twins their season.
Okay, sure.
When we were looking at it, I was almost going to give Twins the good. But again, this came down to Dallas almost really wetting the bed on you guys, and that would have been lights out. We'd be talking about Trey Fitty right now.
Right.
So, to me, I just think that they could get a better lineup in to make them a little bit more competitive. I mean, their projection is right along where their average is.
Right.
And I think that that's about accurate. Now, look at the other side. Problems, right? Justin Fields does not look like he's going to go. Kyler Murray's hurt. Go Kirk Cousins here. I think against Indianapolis, I think that Kirk should really be able to get off with Justin Jefferson and really just exploit that. Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, locks. Tyreek, lock. I'm not so sure about Ayuk, man. I would probably be going Tyler Lockett here, but hey, you know, just as a check, whenever I think the Twins do eventually put GENO in, I think he's going to go. He's going to go to Tyler Lockett. Njoku, it's a toss. Kamara, I think, has ceiling against Atlanta. Again, I'm not so sure. 49ers shut down Seattle last time. I think, though, GENO has really shown himself to be more capable than probably people gave him credit for. Yeah. As we've seen him work through this season. Yeah. And I think the Vikings are pretty strong lock potential against Indianapolis. So I just think that squad has the better overall talent and options on the bench. When I look at the Twins, again, the Twins have done a lot of things this season that have shown a lot about their resolve. I mean, these guys went down to a 2-point matchup, like you said, getting rah-rah on the boards. I'd love to see the Twins be competitive here. Yeah. But I've got squad leaving no doubt this week of the 4 playoff teams and really setting themselves up to play the United Players Destroyers. And really have a path. Again, this was the team that I picked to win the title, and I think that they do a lot.
They're on schedule.
Make the right moves, and again, get a little bit of being favored by the gods with the potential of playing, as you said, a very ugly UP right now. It would set them up really well. And they definitely have the easiest path to a title, but it all starts with the Twins. Again, I've got them in a lead, no doubt, performance. I've got squad going 138 to Patty's Twins 129.
Okay. I think I'm going the other way again, man. When I look at this, Patty's Twins is actually the only team in the PPL, I feel like, who hasn't depended on their quarterback. And for them to have their quarterback as the last ditch play on Monday night it's probably only really a plus for them. Let's talk about where they've gotten the lion's share of their points from. Austin Eckler has basically been their quarterback. He's given them QB production. This guy is averaging quarterback numbers basically at 18.7. So he's giving them the touchdowns. He's giving them those short receptions that is keeping him pecking away throughout the game to keep the Twins score climbing. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has proven to be a man amongst boys, a son of Troy, the sun god. He's really showing what he's got, and he's just impressing me more and more by the week. I like the Michael Pittman play. Minnesota can't cover anybody, and I'm expecting that Indianapolis-Minnesota game to potentially get high scoring. So I like the Twins situation there. Nick Folk against the Raiders. They're going to move the ball against the Raiders. He's going to get a lot of field goal opportunity. I think Dallas just got caught sleepwalking against the Houston team they expected to just walk all over. It was a home game against the worst team in the league. The best teams in the league sometimes will overlook an opponent. Important thing is that they didn't lose, and that keeps them on track and keeps them focused. And I think that they refocused against the Jacksonville team that did win last week and will probably have their full attention. On squad side, I think he has to go Justin Fields. No, you made that trade. At this point, don't be scared, homie. No use running to Kirk Cousins. You got to go Justin Fields here in a prime position. I know it's against the Philly defense, but you knew that making this trade that, hey, this is the guy that you basically were going to roll with. That's heightened by the Kyler Murray injury. I mean, it gives me vibes of Team X-rays, but we're not going to go there. I'm looking at Saquon and Christian McCaffrey. Both of them have great matchups. I feel like both of them should be able to take care of squad underestimated in those positions. But I'm starting to worry about that Miami offense. And, I mean, yeah, Tyreek caught that bomb, but things looked out of sync the majority of that game against the Chargers defense nobody's checking for. So Buffalo things could get ugly in Buffalo for the Dolphins. Tyreek, could he still probably score and have a decent day? Maybe. But Tua was looking real shook out there. And I think that Buffalo defense in that cold weather on the road on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock ain't going to be fun. Brandon Ayuk, Tyler Lockett, I mean, it really comes down to who he thinks is going to win. And obviously, it's the 49ers. He's going to go there. I'm with you, man. With the Twins, I think that they should definitely go with Ingram in a game where they're going to probably have to throw the football a lot. And Ingram really showed to be the apple of my man Trevor Lawrence's eye. I like the Niner D. That's why I pretty much like the Twins not having to go GENO tomorrow, because I think the Niners D will have a lot to say in that game, and she doesn't want to be giving up sacks and picks to squad's defense. So that's understandable at the same time. It's going to be a real chess match here. I love the banter on the boards, the bravado from two original 5 teams who have never met in the playoffs. Obviously, the Twins have all the glitz and glamour and lore to back them up, while squad, I mean, being an original 5 team is still working for that first Pantheon Cup. I think he still has work to do as Patty's Twins advances to the Final Four round for a rematch with Only for the Boss. I got Patty's Twins getting this matchup 129 to squad underestimated's 126. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. Obviously, we had the energy. We were excited. We hope you guys are too for the playoff run. This was a season recap. We hope you guys enjoyed it. For the playoff teams playing in Wildcard weekend and for the teams on their byes, good luck, have a good weekend, and may the odds be ever in your favor.